So it's 6:08, I'm gonna call this meeting to order. Dan, let the record show that we have a quorum. And I believe everybody's here. Is that correct?
Clarence is not.
Clarence.
Skylar's not.
Right, so we have two absent. So I'm gonna go for the agenda here and the approval of minutes from April, please. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion approved. Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Director of the Financial Report, Leanne.
Okay. Past couple of months, things have been going well. We sent out, all the zone packets, and then the zone, the EZBRs or the EZBEs. So the EZBRs are the enterprise zone registration forms. And on these registration forms, the businesses tell you how much they've calculated what their savings will be and what they potentially owe us. So I have if you look through your packet, I have something that says 2018 pay 2019. Now, I don't mail these bills out, but this is where I do my billing from, or this stuff is where I do my billing from. And as you can see, the total tentative amount of receivables would be $169,000 and some change. We do have a few extensions. You can see the last two companies, we still have extensions, and those are estimates. We've got our big, huge company that have been with for a few years, did get their EZBR in on time with their EZ2 to the county. So there's potential of this, significant shift in our income. So that's what's been going on this month in terms of the billings or the actual zone activity. And we did get, there's a variety of things that happen, but the banks have a tendency to actually just send the money in, something called a loan interest credit. So they provide these loans to enterprise zone businesses, and then they just send the money in. The interesting thing about it this year is the actual loan interest credit sunsetted with that whole enterprise zone change, but we were able to figure it out. We belong also to this, we spend $800 a year to belong to the Indiana Association of Enterprise Zones. And we were all, there's like 25 of us, we were all able to figure out though that even that the loan interest credit sunsetted, if you had a loan, that loan goes for the 10 years. So, anyway, just a little bit of history about what's going on.
What was the sunset date?
12/31 of 18 for the loan interest credit.
So any loan prior to that date
You're
is effective
grandfathered. Right.
12/31?
Yeah.
18.
It's kind of interesting when they pass these laws and we get together and figure out how we're going to all ultimately administer them as a governing body from the actual Indiana state. Did Horizon actually pay us anything? Yeah.
They did, okay.
And that's the one they paid us. You can see Center's like $2, but Verizon significant, so those two came in.
Sure, it's almost $8,000.
They paid us. And they owe a gigantic amount, and then they pay the whole thing and divvy it up to the individual. So, I mean, they owe themselves a lot more than that, but that was our portion.
Sure.
that we got.
Do they give us a report of how many properties or how many loans they have? Not just the numbers, they don't have to name the names, I guess.
Right, they do give us some detail, there's a form, the LIC form,
Mhm.
that they attach
Okay.
with it. So it's a state tax form
Mhm.
that comes with it,
Do they
that's filed, they don't list
list
the
the
actual.
individual loan, they list just the total amount that
Right,
they have in loans
correct,
and the urban enterprise? Okay,
right, yeah.
okay. Great. Anything else today?
And so then there's you see our account balances, right now we've got $159,398.90. And I expect, because last year we collected 100%,
Yeah.
remember?
It's awesome.
And we are now caught up, that I expect to get very close to this amount. So, we could have $300,000 at the end of the year, just, we want to talk about it. Okay, and then there's your things like that.
Any questions to Diane on the claims docket, actually? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the claim docket as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thanks, Diane. Anything else?
No.
Okay. New business, 2019 business grant. I'm going to turn it to Chris.
All right. We had a few we went through here. A couple of them we turned down because they were not filled out properly. So we'll probably see those next month. They can be corrected. Okay, the vape clinic building, we should have one that says vape clinic building or something on the top. Anyway, this is at 1410 Franklin Street.
Oh,
You don't have it.
okay.
Okay, so they want removal of, basically putting a new roof on. Tables, shingles and rubber roof off, put new roof on there. They got 2 quotes, like they need to, JV West and RL Roofing. Exactly the same quotes. Amazing. 10,400 for that project. So we're recommending $5,200.
And there's a couple businesses in that.
Yeah, and apartments up above it.
I just have one quick question, Chris. Who's the owner of the building?
John Levy.
Okay, so the owner of the building is the applicant. Okay. Fair enough.
So that's our recommendation there.
Any question to Chris? Hearing none, can I have a motion to accept the recommendation from the grant committee?
Motion to accept.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion?
It doesn't make, the application states that he has a lease. Is that just erroneous? Or is it the business owner that's applying on behalf of John Levy?
And I think it is John Levy that's applying.
He checked the box of property owner, the second page. That is applicant.
I don't know why you put that thing on the lease, the lease, when does the lease expire? I think that has to do with the,
Apartment.
The lease
one of
tenant?
the tenants. Because, yeah, I think it was the vape clinic that, and actually it expires July of 2020.
So he's not applying on behalf of the vape clinic, he's applying on behalf of himself as real estate owner.
I may have confused it.
Yeah. He's just describing probably the building as it's vape clinic, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other questions for Chris? And motion in a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah. We got one more, but before we, I meant to, before we talked about those, just to let everybody know that we're putting, we've got another member of the grant committee that's coming on, not a board member, Dominique Edwards is gonna sit on the committee with us from now on. We'll be meeting 2 weeks prior to this meeting every month, and we'll supply you guys with minutes from the meeting and try to get things going a little bit more with the grant stuff, so.
Thank you.
Okay, back to the grant stuff. The next one is the Eastport Neighborhood Improvement Group.
Okay.
And we weren't sure what to do with this one, so we don't really have recommendation to the board. I think that we should all discuss it as a board and figure out what you guys want to do with that.
Sure. Brian, do you want to shed some light on it?
That is our funding for the community garden that we have. So the Eastport Neighborhood Improvement Group, in conjunction with the Hill Gardens, last year we actually started a community garden down there at Walker Street Playground. And so the receipts and everything that I provided were the cost that we had last year. But this year, we're continuing on, it's growing a little bit. We got 18, 19 beds out there now. I think 9 of them are public pick. You can go out there and anybody from public can go in and pick out of those beds, and then other people sign up for their own to grow whatever they want.
From the neighborhood?
Anybody from the neighborhood. I had somebody tell me, he comes in, he doesn't live in the neighborhood, but he stops by in the middle of the night and picks on his way home from work. So everybody's using it. And, going back to why that location was actually chosen, there was a study done that talked about, the high rates of diabetes and things like that in that area, that neighborhood. So that was one of the biggest reasons why that location was chosen for a community garden. So we're getting up and running.
Is it publicly owned, the lot itself publicly owned?
Park department.
Okay.
The park department allowed us to use that land within Walker Street Playground.
Well, to me, it's awesome, actually. The neighborhood is organizing and, and they're trying to do something to the neighborhood itself, and I think that goes in line with every grant that we've been given to either Main Street Association or any other neighborhood groups that it's in the zone itself. So from my side, I guess, or from my standpoint, I think this fits well with everything that we've been doing in the past, and I'm glad that you guys are doing it. That's all.
And I had no intention myself of owning a bed. I just show up and people pick and take pictures, but somebody signed me up to actually have a bed down there. So I had to get my hands dirty and plant.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Sounds like it's actually a hit for the neighborhood, and they're using it. So
Yes, they are.
And they're proud of it, I hope.
Yeah, it's gotten a lot of people out. So I'm surprised to see the number of people that signed up. I mean, we have no more room to really expand down there, because if you've seen the park in the back, there's a bunch of trees out there, and it'll create shade. And so we can't keep moving it back any further because they're afraid it's not going to have enough sunlight to do some things. So we're proud of that.
Did they have to put in a new water pipe, or was that already there?
There was water in the park because I had a water fountain years ago when I was a little guy playing ball in the park. So that's been turned back on, so you can access water. And that's one of the expenses that I had with the receipts is the water.
But they do put a meter on it?
No.
That's a good question, right? This water bill went to the Park and Recs department.
Yeah, but it was paid through, what they said, with the grant that was out there last time around. But these are the costs that are gonna be coming to the actual, Eastport neighborhood, Hill Gardens and things like that, so that's why we're looking for funding for it.
Who paid for the original garden?
It's in the email that was sent up there. I had to send an email that I attached to it.
Was it the CDBG funds,
Yeah.
I guess? I think. It is.
Yeah, there was an email that said it should have been attached to it.
Just for the benefit of the board and the benefit even of the grant committee, and I appreciate the grant committee bringing it to the board because it's kind of, this form is not really applicable to the
Right.
neighborhood, but we have been using a lot of the neighborhood beautification, even though it's a grant for, whether it's a planting or, it's a neighborhood definitely project.
Right.
And neighborhood, whether it's a social project or whether it's a project for the neighborhood to actually be part of, that's creating a community, that's the whole point, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So it's not just beautification, it's actually enhancement to the neighborhood. Whether enhancement by social activities or planting, food product or produce, that's wonderful, actually. So my point, I guess, that I understand that the form, it says beautification, but it is really for the enhancement of the neighborhood. And that has been the intent, at least since any grant that we give to any neighborhood.
Going forward, what do you foresee expenses being?
What's that saying?
I say, going forward, what do you see expenses being? Because on these receipts, you've got, lumber, building materials.
Yeah, we don't see that happening again. That was in regards to putting up the shed. Unless something happens to the shed, we have to get another shed up there. But what I provided was, like I said, all of the money that was spent last year. So that's how I just provided everything that we had.
But that was paid for by a CBDG grant though?
Yeah.
You're only asking to get the water refunded?
How much the
Well, I
total
mean-
that you're asking for?
Yeah, what are you asking?
I didn't have a dollar amount on that.
No,
No,
No.
because
What would really would be the water bills, the monthly water bills would be great. But
So let's go through it.
Okay.
Let's go through it to make sure that the organization gets what they are looking for. So the first receipts here from Lowe's, I have 1,400? No, I'm sorry, 14,000.
because what's being,
it's 4,629, so all of these, this is one, all that is here, that is
it
here.
all totals up to 4,600.
This,
Okay.
good there. But
So-
then it adds up to, I just cut that off, it was 4620.
And this was the capital cost for the actual shed?
yeah,
Okay.
for the shed, and every year there's gonna be buying of the plants and, things that we put into the garden as well as the water expenses and maybe soil and things like that,
Sure.
That's,
If we pay for the capital cost, which I think that's really what the neighborhood actually picked up, and I don't believe, and I don't know if the CDBG actually paid for it or not, I'm not
That's
saying.
what you decided, yeah.
I'm not exactly sure. I put it in the email that I sent that said how everything was paid for, so I don't recall off the top of my head. Caroline Arnett, who runs the Heal Gardens,
Yeah,
will be able to answer this
sure.
a lot better.
But going forward, you need to bill unless the shake.
What's that?
Unless the she shake catches fire.
Yeah.
She knows she shake. Catches fire, I'm not gonna even reason that.
So all the plants going in, or do you anticipate more
And your
plants?
plants.
From this?
Yeah, I would imagine.
Well, what I'm saying, I guess, this year, at this case, I mean, that I'm okay with capital improvement, and then the money can actually go for something else if you'd like to actually, if the organization would like to actually put something more. So the capital cost itself, it's $4,629.
But again,
And
that's what you're gonna pay.
I understand. But they're asking for help.
That's how,
For the water.
everything else is reimbursed.
I thought that they were asking for help to get the water and to all the utilities and the plants and what I'm saying, I guess, that the other grant can pay for that, for the operation costs, and we pay for the capital, or reimburse the capital.
Don't you have to find out whether the CDBG's already covered it?
Is the CDBG paid for the capital costs? I thought that they paid only for the operation.
I'd have to get this straightened out through Caroline, exactly what was paid out of what.
That's
But
what I was understanding from
I
Brian.
thought that was,
They cover the,
Here, let me see.
this.
Right, this was just an example of what.
I need my phone to pull the email up.
Let me see the email. Do you have that email, Brian?
I don't have my phone,
Okay.
I have it in the car.
Wow.
That's okay, we're gonna get it.
Well,
Yeah, they
I
have all
don't
of them.
I know that's in my phone, I have to see it at all.
know. No one told me whether I could plant my garden there either.
What's that?
I had asked the Yield Gardens people whether it was open to, people from outside of East Fork. No one replied.
You didn't ask me?
I may have, I don't know.
I don't remember.
But Catherine,
Your phone's in the car, though?
they contacted me. There's a big chunk of real estate at 10th and
Yeah, I forwarded that back. It's been somewhere a month, so it's back a while.
Okay, so here's what it says here. This is from Caroline Arnett.
Mm-hmm.
She's the Community Wellness Coordinator
Right.
with Purdue Extension of Polk County. It says here, I'm gonna read the whole email if you don't mind.
Go ahead, that's fine.
It says, hi Brian, thank you, or thanks for the call and advocating on our behalf. Last year, our shed and water bill was paid for by the Community Development Block Grant. I spoke with the director about the possible reimbursement through an enterprise association. She said the funds could be reimbursed through citizen concerns or citizen concern for the homeless. If we are approved, they have to earmark the money for the Walker Park, Hill Garden, or the funds will be placed in the normal citizen account and we wouldn't have access to it.
Okay, so it's
I'm not
been,
quite sure what's the fund that she's requesting here, Brian. How about this, do you mind if you ask her, I guess, so what is the account, or what is the amount that she's asking, and
Yeah, we can do that.
what is the organization, I guess, the LLC that we're,
There's something about the homeless, going into an account for the homeless.
that's if we do it,
That's where she said the money would be going, if we reimburse it, we're going to some fund for the homeless.
And then that's how I think.
no, she's saying that if we don't earmark it, for the Walker Park Hill Garden, it will be placed in the normal citizen account and they wouldn't have access to it. So it has to be
it's something
earmarked.
about homeless, isn't it?
Well, is it citizens' concern for the homeless, is that thing?
The funds could be reimbursed through citizen concern for the homeless. The funds could be reimbursed.
If the ear.
Right. So my point, I guess,
That's
that
another.
we have to earmark it. It sounds like we have to earmark it to Walker Park and Hill Garden.
Right.
For them to access those type of funds. Otherwise, it will go to citizens' concern for homeless, and they will not be able to access that account. So,
But still, we need to know.
what is the amount, and
Right.
if we need to make the check to citizen concern for the homeless with mark to Walker Park individually, I guess. So that, if
Am I
you,
missing something here?
what is it?
I'm trying, I'm not getting it.
What is it? I'm not getting it either. So I guess what is your question?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not getting it.
Okay,
Yeah, me neither.
is the Walker Park Garden set up as a separate entity? Is it incorporated or any?
Heel Garden has,
Heel Garden.
gardens in Michigan City, over in Walker Park, they do one over in the Smart Center as well.
At the what center?
Smart Center over on the west side.
Okay,
I'll send it there.
I think there's
Nice.
one, I think there's one more.
okay.
And so what we're trying to do is the money that we would be getting with the Eastport neighborhood would be earmarked for our garden. It would not have to be dispersed out.
Well, are there separate accounts maintained specifically for the Walker
It would be,
Park Garden?
you cannot earmark something if it's not.
You can't,
It's like
you don't wanna commingle funds, I get that.
Okay, well, I don't know if we have to go to that level of being bankers, but if that's what you would like.
No,
I can talk to them.
the question I think was, how is it structured so the money can go to the right place? And,
And she just explained that it would be
Yeah.
earmarked for that garden.
But in the memo, you put down Walker Park, is that it?
Okay.
I don't know.
I'll get you more detail, Dave.
No, I'm fine,
That would probably be it.
yeah.
Yeah, just, we need to know the amount and what is it earmarked for?
Great.
I think that's,
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion to table this until we get all whatever we need to do.
any motion in
It's
the
an awesome project, but I don't know what we're doing.
Oh, yeah. Awesome.
It is an awesome project for them. That's what they told us. I mean, I like the dog, it's just, we don't know organization that we need to help. So with that, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Thanks, Chris. Anything else?
That's, right? That's yeah. Yep.
Those are the two. Okay. Old business. Anything for the old business? Any new business that anyone would like to bring to the board?
I would like to bring to the board, our planning department member. I realize there's probably a big conflict of times with the planning department, but we need a planning department person here. And we haven't had, I think, maybe 4 meetings in a row. Or is Skylar our person from the planning department?
Yes.
Yeah.
Does it have to be the planning department? I thought that any city official, if I'm not mistaken?
I think they suggest, it's actually in the law.
Yeah. Do they suggest the planning or the economic development?
No, I think it's separate, 86 is separate, I think it's actually both. I haven't read that part of the law in a while, but I did actually think it said a member of the planning department, so it's in the tax law for the easy.
Brian, do you wanna tackle this issue, I guess, from the city side, since you're our city liaison?
Yeah.
I can get back to you on what the law says.
Just to see, I mean, Skylar's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
But, I mean, it would really help us, especially like with the grant stuff, if we have somebody from the planning department that we're able to.
Sure. That sounds good, Chris.
I should have brought my phone. I get emails about that now.
Because there was somebody else from the planning department prior to that, the gentleman that he passed away.
Who was that? I don't remember.
That's been a while.
It was a while ago, but,
Okay,
at any rate.
sounds good. Any other items that come from the board? No, hearing none. I have one item, I guess, that, we have right now close to probably $80,000 in surcharge that is coming in this year. And one of the things that we've been looking at all along, since I've been in this board, it's actually grants and assistance to either business, which that's what the organization is for, enhancing the district itself, and that's part of our mission, and enhancing the district with anyone in it. including residential. So by saying that, I guess, I wasn't quite sure if that surcharge, maybe we can probably think about a project. So think about a specific project that you would like to see in the district itself, that it's a community type of project. It doesn't have to be grant driven, it could be a project. I commend the neighborhood, of course, about the planting. Now that's a neighborhood.
Right.
So when we are thinking about a project, maybe it's an infrastructure project for the entire city, or it could be inside the district itself, but it's for the entire city. Like, for example, the city has been doing a lot of planning for whether it's the gateway to the north end, or the gateway from the east, or the south gateway. Unfortunately, our district doesn't extend all the way to south by 400. So my point, I guess, that think about a project in the district that will serve the entire community.
Can I do it for instance?
Of course.
Okay,
Yeah.
so for instance, and I brought this up to Rich Murphy maybe not quite 2 years ago, of a project that I wanted to do. And you know how we've put like the cobbles in the intersections?
Yeah.
I would like to paint designs on those so that the intersections are visible, that it's kind of like, and it was like years ago, I loved what Mass Ave did. And they didn't do painting on the street, but they have in these like art pieces in each intersection. And it was very interesting and exciting. And so I thought, how could we do it here? And then I saw the cobbles and I thought it would make interesting grids too. So would that fall under this type
Absolutely.
of?
What I'm saying, I guess, that it's that's great. That's wonderful. Yes. Just make sure let's write them down. Let's kind of get a list of projects from each one of us, and kind of what do you think, I guess, that could happen as a project, as an infrastructure project for the city itself. In the district, though, keep in mind that it has to be inside the district.
I don't know that it does, because of what I see in the powers and duties of the Urban Enterprise Association. One of their, and I can tell you what it is, section 14D, it says the UEA may request by majority vote that the board waive or modify any state rule that is in effect in the zone. The board shall review the request and may approve, modify, or reject the request. Approval or modification by the board shall take place after review by the appropriate state agency. The modification may include, but is not limited to, establishing different compliance or reporting requirements, timetables, or exemptions in the zone for a business or individual, to the extent that the modification does not adversely affect the health, safety, employment, or civil rights. So, can we do things outside of the zone? Knowing that they are...
From what I'm hearing from you, it's a modification to the district itself, or...
So modification to any state rule.
Any state rule. It's a geographic district, so the state does not define our geographic district. We do. So I'm not quite sure if they are talking about that. Can we modify ourselves? The geographic districts?
We can actually further down. That was, I believe, again, I can get back to that. I think it's the part of the new enterprise zone.
Yeah.
And in fact, we have the power, the boards have the power to modify the districts.
So we can modify them? Okay, all right.
If they, and then it has to be approved by them.
Yeah,
That's a big project, though. I mean, that's.
No, I understand.
That's a big project.
So but that is all that they're talking about when they say modify any state rule that is in effect in the zone?
I think it's different, Chris. The modification of the state rule is different than modification than our bylaws or.
Couldn't this also be interpreted as not modifying the zone itself, but by majority rule, we can make an example and go out of the zone for a specific project?
That's what I'm wondering.
That's basically what this is saying. It's not saying you have to modify the entire zone. It's saying if there's something, the person makes a request for something that's outside of the zone,
You just get special dispensation to do
and we
that.
can get a majority rule to make exception. That's not, I don't think this is saying we have to modify the.
No, I think what we haven't been doing though is we're not doing grants outside the district because of one, if you modified it for somebody, you
Right, that's
modified it for
things
somebody else, and I
you
think
don't
that's
start
kind
making
of
that,
where.
you don't, maybe
Right.
not open that can of worms, you know.
But
that's
this wouldn't
what
be
you
for
would-
grants, this would be for a community project.
Yeah, for a large project.
For a large project,
So
it's a
this,
different thing.
for example, we want to put a billboard on I-94, just putting something out there. Well, that's certainly not within the zone. Is that, is that something that we could do?
I think without modification, that something could be done, because it's impacting the district itself. So if we are advertising, let's say that we do this billboard, and all the businesses in the district will advertise on it, well, that's helping the district itself, even though it's outside of the district. So I feel confident in that, I guess, that this is definitely not a modification, it's actually under our existing rules, we can do that. It's within our purview right now. But what I'm thinking, I guess, is that if we are doing an infrastructure project itself, that it's outside of the district and it's enhancing that area only, and there's no impact on the district from it, I don't know if that is the modification. Maybe we need to modify it geographically. I agree. We probably could if we want.
So it depends on the project.
Well, can I ask another question then? This Eastport gardens that was happening, if this area was outside of the district, but it was open to anyone, is that an okay project?
I would say that if it's inside the district and open to everyone, that's okay. But not vice versa.
Like starting another garden someplace in the district.
Yeah, I'm just curious, because that would be a project that's happening to benefit
The
the
community.
community,
Yeah.
but it's not within the district, but it is to benefit the community.
I don't know, that's a
How
good
is
question.
that different than putting the billboard on 94, to do something like that?
Well, the billboard will be strictly for businesses inside the district.
I follow you.
But I'm with you though, that if it's to the community and part of the community is the district, so it's enhancing the district by virtue, by just the default of it. I don't know, I think maybe we need to probably reach out to an attorney or
How can we find that information? How?
probably an attorney could interpret that for us, at least give an opinion, what is the law saying?
Can we do that?
Yeah. And if not, would you guys prefer to see, I would personally prefer to see the district actually expanding if it's in our purview. So if it's in our allowable, I guess under the law, that we expand the district all the way to the 94 bridge. That's perfect. Let's get more businesses and hopefully we'll create more funding and do more projects to the community. In fact, I will add the entire community to it. It's wonderful. And hopefully we can do more grants to the entire community. That's, if we can though, expand it. I don't know if we can or not.
We gotta be careful with all the tips going on, it really.
It overlaps, I understand. I understand that it overlaps, but we can fill the gap that it's not overlapping. And even if it overlaps a little bit, we are overlapping here and we never had any issue of being a TIF and an urban enterprise zone.
Well, I'll let you point that out. We looked at the map of the zone earlier. And that's helter-skelter all over the place. Maybe with expanding it, we might be able to organize that map and get a better idea who actually is in the zone.
Sure.
Because there are spots on the map that say certain businesses are in the zone, but a list that Diane has as to which addresses and where it cuts off contradicts some of the map.
Some of the legal description itself, yeah.
It's a fine line, but yes.
Right.
Right, it does.
But, we can definitely get an opinion from our attorney. Then ask them to see if we can expand, that's probably the first question. The second question, if we can't expand, can we do a project?
They were initially in, what, 85, the zones were defined based on a certain, 81, is it?
84.
On economic conditions within those areas.
Correct.
Wouldn't you say that the economic conditions have improved throughout Michigan City since 81 or 84 or 85? Would those conditions still be met to include those areas in the zone? I mean, the original intent was to, provide advantage to disadvantaged areas. I get your point. Creating more benefits for everyone, but,
What would be
wouldn't you think you're going to have to show cause, to expand it? I mean, I can't believe that it's just so open that you can just say, well, all the way down the block is now a part of that enterprise zone.
Well,
it doesn't seem plausible to me, that's all.
What would be the negative of us?
I'm not saying that there's a negative, but I'm saying that it just seems like there's gotta be some sort of criteria that's got to show that.
Well, I'm sure there is, yes. I mean, it is a project expanded, so there's no question about that, yes. But my point, I guess, I think the benefits outweigh the work that we would put in as a group to actually benefit that district. So yes, I mean, if there is a way to actually do it, I would be in favor of that for sure, to enhance the entire area,
Well, yeah, I'm all for it, but it just doesn't sound like you're discussing, the logistics and how to do it, because it seems like we don't know, I guess.
I don't know.
So circle back to allowing the attorney to.
Yeah, if you guys don't mind allowing me to address the attorney, I just want to make sure that, I have my marching order from all of us.
Marching order.
Yeah. So the first question is, can we expand the district? The second question is, if we don't expand or if we cannot expand, can we do a project outside of the district that somewhat enhance the district but enhance the entire community as well?
Right.
And what is the third question? Or is there a third question? No? Oh, the modification code? The clarification on it?
Yeah. Section 14D.
Okay. Section 14D, do you know what's the IC on it?
Yeah, 5/28, 15, 14.
528, 15, 14?
Yeah.
And section 14D, right? Okay.
I mean, it say pretty clearly here, the UEA may initiate and coordinate any community development activities that aid in the employment of zone residents, improve the physical environment, or encourage the turnover or retention of capital in the zone.
Yeah.
Sounds like it's got to be in there.
Yeah.
But
Or at least adjacent to it, that it's enhancing, whatever it is that we're
to
doing.
bring people in.
Right.
Yeah, if we can clarify that, it would help us out.
And if we can justify the project as such, that's wonderful too. So keep in mind when you're thinking about a project, if it can be justified, yeah, let's definitely push it, So please think about projects for the next meeting, if you don't mind. Or email them to me and I can probably present them to all of us and kind of discuss them all together. So it'll be an item agenda, I guess, for a while until we reach a consensus for a project that we're all.
So what
It's like
justifies the
creative
project?
community
I
friendly.
mean, is it widespread benefits, or is it, what justifies, what's the criteria for justifying a project?
That's kind of what we're trying to figure out.
Yeah, we're trying to figure that out, Dave, as well. So I don't know, I really don't know what is the justification of a project outside of the district. I know what's inside the district, it's enhancing the district if we're doing anything inside the district. But if we're doing it outside, keep in mind that it has to be somehow tied to the district itself.
All right, well, here's another one that's been bandied about for the last couple of years on social media is projection mapping on the cooling tower. So that's a pretty big project. I know I'm looking into projection mapping just on my building and getting permission to put up a, pole across the way because I've got that empty lot in front of me. So, but I know everybody's always saying, oh, let's use that as an arts.
At least until it comes down, right?
Right, well, that's still maybe 10 years, right, or so?
Did we print, is there enough of these for everybody?
I can email it too.
Yeah,
Is that a copy? I can email
I think
it.
that will help a lot to email this
Yeah.
Is that the statutes?
Yeah, the
Yeah,
state,
this is
yeah.
the powers and duties of the association. I have two more, I might have another one. There could be the bike project too. I mean, the
bike
line
plan.
bikes, bringing a bike, some kind of bike.
So if you could email it to me, I'd appreciate it.
This, okay, yeah.
There's all kinds of plans that we've been talking about in the past, and now we have some funding to actually able to do it. I would like this group actually to, us, come up with that, us as the board.
Dog park where the apartments aren't being
You
built.
want that? Put that number in.
Well, there you go.
I mean,
There you
that's
go.
actually,
I mean,
that's a good idea,
All,
that's-
all the above, Dave.
how to get residents here,
I mean, there's no,
big deal.
there's no bad idea, but let's vet them through here. Let's talk about them here. Let's just make sure that everybody agrees and, or disagree, or
You'll get that.
kind of, inspire each other by debate, I hope. Yeah? All right, well, if there's nothing else, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you so much.